Hey, welcome everyone. I just wanted to introduce Scott Nash. His wife, him and Tessie actually joined the group recently, about 4 or 5 months ago, roughly. So a little bit in right now. They came in just to give a little bit of background on you, and I'd love for you to share some of your story. But you'd been coaching with some other groups before this, really just hadn't gotten things together yet. You know, you're on your journey and you just hadn't pulled it all together. You got into our free 30-day find a flip challenge and actually found a flip, which was pretty cool.
Found a flip, yeah.
Yeah, for free, which was always awesome. And, a lot of people found flips in that, which was really amazing. Now, once you got to that point, you were like, I could use some help. And, you end up joining the Mastermind so you could have more hands on your flip. Scott, tell us a little bit about your journey so far, like your previous coaching, some of the things you're doing now differently.
Sure. So you and I actually met over a year ago. You were, like one of the main coaches at that previous place.
And I wasn't a coach there, but I had spoke some there, and I was in the group. I was actually a student like you, just at a higher level. So yeah, we were kind of just learning from the same people.
Well, I did my detective work, and that's how I found you, and that's how we ended up meeting that first time at Starbucks, because I could see kind of who was in the higher levels of the group that we were in. So that's how we met for the first time. And man, as soon as we met that first day, I think you invited me back for one of the coaching calls. I'm like, man, this is what we needed. This is not what we had already paid for with the previous program. Needed somebody. We were looking for some direction, but weren't really getting a lot of direction other than send out mailers, do this. This should work. If it doesn't work, try it again. That kind of thing. But I think there's some value in having some local knowledge. I know you have students all across the world, right? But the value for us having you here as local knowledge is huge. It broke through some of the barriers that we had, at least in our mindset.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because Scott actually lives in Montgomery County, and I've done one flip in my life in Montgomery County, so I might as not be local where you are. But why the reason that this has worked for so many different spaces is not like where I would feel we're different. Please correct me if you feel like I'm wrong on this, but we tend to, instead of like you said, just saying, hey, do this thing, and if it doesn't work, keep doing it. We tend to do deep dives into why it's not working and getting really into the weeds of like what the heck's going on, dissecting it, reverse engineering it, and getting an answer. Because one thing that we believe in the group, one of our philosophies is like we can control everything. If something's not working, there's a reason, and it's our job to figure that out. And it's pretty cool when me and you can do that, or me and other students, and we can kind of just break those things down. It's one of my biggest gifts of being able to work with you and everyone else is I highly enjoy doing that. I apparently have been born with a brain that likes to do it. I love breaking, dissecting things down. It's my personality, and I obviously can't do it, but so much in my business without fixing something that's not broke, because that's one of my things I have to be careful of is taking systems that are working amazing and then just breaking them and putting them back together. But it's really great when I'm working with people who actually have broken systems and I can fix them, because I get to, do the thing I love, but not just in my one business, because there's only so many things you can work on. Once you get your business really running nicely, then it gets a little bit like, okay, don't stop breaking things that aren't broke, right? That's always been my stuff I have to tell myself. My coach tells me, right? He's like, Mike, the thing's running pretty well. I don't know if I would actually tear that apart. And I'm always looking for that centimeter, right? That just like, if I could just get it a teeny bit better. So it's cool stuff. So journey was, and how long were you in the program? Were you working there like a year or two or something?
Yeah, it was almost a full year. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So got your results. You're doing your first flip now. Now you decide you're going to live in your first flip, which isn't uncommon, like, 50-50, right? Maybe.
Okay,
maybe
that's
not.
good.
Yeah, not uncommon, like 50-50. They're still deciding. Tanya bought one of my other students. She actually ended up living in her first flip. And my real first flip was the house that I lived in too. Buying houses at a discount and being able to live in a house and have an instant equity, like, hey, who doesn't want to do that? That's one of the smartest moves you can ever make, honestly.
For Tessie, she's lived in this townhome since '95. So for her to have something that, literally the same price, we bought this house for the same price that she bought her townhouse for in 1995.
Yeah, and it's a single family house versus a
single family detached on 3/4 of an acre. She's already planning on chickens and all this other stuff. So
wow.
Kind of crazy.
Dude, I want some free eggs and chicken dinner. Invite me over for chicken dinner.
No problem.
Got it. All right, first chicken. I just don't
when
tell me
they stop laying eggs, it'll be chicken dinner.
Yes, don't tell me its name. His name's like Bob. I'm not eating it.
No, we're good.
No name chicken, please. Purdue is all I want to see. So it's interesting. And I love when you say that, because we never even think about this business as being an opportunity to buy an amazing home just for ourselves to live in and have a ton of equity. When you buy a house, like can you mind sharing the numbers on the property you bought, like the ARV and roughly?
Sure. We bought the house for $155. The ARV is probably going to be around 400, maybe. There's upside to it, huge upside to it. Could be more than that. Tessie's kind of feeling like it's going to be more like 429 is our final number. on what we can get it refied at. I think that's very doable. I mean, the comps are there. Yeah.
You've done some additional stuff from our original plan, like finishing the basement, and that's
Yeah, we
clearly going to
did.
add a lot of value. So I agree. You're probably in the low fours, up to mid fours, maybe even. And you're going to put about 100 to 110K into it roughly.
Yeah, I think we're on schedule for about 110.
Okay. Yeah. So really good numbers on that. And so honestly,
Yeah.
if you were to think about buying a house, I mean, like, most people would buy this at 429 once it's fixed up. Like that's what we do.
Yeah.
And it would take them roughly about 20 years to be where you are in equity that you're coming in day one. So you really are accelerating the, let's build wealth in ourselves through our home. You're cutting that by 20 years of a 30-year loan. It's kind of freaking awesome if you think about it from a wealth gen.
Exactly.
Like, no one really ever talks about buying a house to live in, but it's something that I'm always really excited about. And I think they even have like a name for it, like house hacking or something. I've heard somebody talking about it recently. And when they were talking about it, I was like, no one talks about that. That's a really cool subject. Just living in one, like, hey, just learn to flip to live in a house. Now, it's not what I'm preaching here. Obviously, people in the program are learning to flip. That obviously, if you want to buy it as a house, but Scott's totally committed to doing something to make money too afterwards. And he's getting a lot of experience on his own first house. And, he'll just, instead of getting a check for whatever the difference is, he'll just have, equity in his home that'll create net worth for you, right? So, I mean, your net worth is always going to be like what your home is.
On top of that, we will be able to access a HELOC on it. And we're planning on keeping our other house, the townhouse that we live in now, and we're going to keep that HELOC open too. So it's going to expand our abilities to purchase and cheap money versus hard money. That kind of the goal.
So that's the next piece that I find interesting too, is obviously keeping your current home you've lived in and turning that into a rental. So now you've got is this your first rental you'll have once you make that a rental?
It'll be Tessie's first rental. Yeah.
So first rental recently, I know you had some back in the day, but so first rental here. So now you got a rental and you got a flip. I feel like you did more with it by moving into it because you actually have a rental and for passive income and you got a lot of equity in it. So net worth wise, your value is going to go up pretty good, like between the two.
Significant. Yeah.
Really good stuff. Two things I want to make sure we talk about because I find them unique to you and your wife is one was obviously your wife is very different than you. Like men and women, we generally opposites attract, right? We're always a little bit different from our partners. One of the things I've seen a lot is that a lot of times when you're going into something like house flipping, it's getting both people on the same page. Talk a little bit about how the Mastermind helped you with that.
It's definitely an issue. Tessie has an architectural background, so she has a tendency to look at the big picture of what the end goal is. And I have the tendency of looking at it from a remodeler's background because that's what I used to do as well. So I did a lot of remodeling. So I'm looking at, the mechanical end of things and how that's not going to work on the big picture thing. So it ends up me trying to figure out how everything is going to come together. From the standpoint of getting us on the same page, you've been extremely helpful in the sense of many different areas. But the first one was getting us to jump. I know with this particular deal, Tessie's risk, what would you call it?
Tolerance for risk, right? Tolerance for risk, I guess.
Her risk tolerance is pretty low. Mine is pretty medium. So getting us on the same page just to pull the trigger on this deal was huge. I highly, highly appreciate that because I don't know that we would have jumped had you not said, if you don't jump, I'm going to take it too. I'm going to take it from you.
Well, not like take it from, but please pass it on, right? Yeah,
pass it on, right? Yeah,
there's someone else that'll take it. It's a great deal, and obviously, the numbers. Exactly. It's a smoking hot deal, but even with it being a smoking hot deal, there's always doubts, right? And when you don't, it's nice to have someone who's more senior look at it and agree with you. You probably at some point were wondering, like, what am I missing? Is there something big that I'm missing?
Always. I think that's the biggest thing that's held us back in so many areas, as far as investing goes, is what am I missing? What's the part that I'm not seeing? You were able to clarify so many things because in my gut, that deal was like, we need to jump on it. But getting her to that point, it took more than just me saying we need to jump.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Look, buying a house, investing $100,000 into it. Look, that isn't for everyone. And I'll just say the one thing that obviously the reason I'm really good at looking at the details and helping you make the decisions is because I'm like Tessie, I'm very analytical. And every deal I buy, the first thing I think is, what am I missing? Even today, it's actually part of my process. When I buy a deal, if I got a little bit of time before I'm delivering the deposit, I'm like, what did I miss? And I go in there and I do a deep dive to make sure I'm comfortable. Eventually, you get really good at understanding, okay, I've checked all the boxes, I've checked everything in the processes and systems that we use to do so. It's very usable for everyone because it keeps you protected, because risk is the number one thing that we really have to avoid as house flippers. I mean, we're not out playing like in a non-risk environment. There is risk, and especially if you don't know what you're doing. For you invested to be in the Mastermind program and you knew you were doing a 100K renovation. With that being said, you knew like instantly there would just be a couple places that I could just save you money and you pretty much would be free, right? I mean, it wouldn't cost you a penny really to be in the mastermind, because I always tell people you're either going to give it to the contractor, you can pay me, or you can pay it to the contractor. Often contractors usually double or triple, by the way. They cost a lot more.
Well, I mean, we actually had a conversation about that shortly after we started the Mastermind program. And I think we calculated it all out. I spent what we spent for the Mastermind program, $5,000, $6,000, whatever it was. But we were calculating out what you saved us just in the budget. I mean, just day one, seriously, day one, we were thinking 150, 160, and you're like, no. You're at like 80. And then after talking about it some more, it was more like 100, and we're like, okay, there's 50 grand right there that we got, that we didn't have to pay a contractor, right? So
yeah, if they would have done it on day one, on budget, right?
Yeah, day one, our investment was paid back fivefold or tenfold. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what we find, by the way. It's not uncommon. It's just because, again, like we all need a second set of eyes. We need someone who can help us, and that's what that's who I am in the group, and honestly, that's who you are for some of the newer group members. And so you've been very helpful with other people, and in the group, everyone's helping each other, including me. I get a lot of value from the group. It's a big part of why I do it. Right? We're like a big family. We all get along really well. Everyone's very cool in the group. Just a great group of people, and really willing to share. Sure. It's like that high level of abundance. I love being around that, because that's the person I want to be in life. I want to be able to not hide the good stuff and say, hey, pay me $1 million. I like to, here's the cheapest program you can get in. You're going to learn my highest level stuff. And then usually people work with me long period term, just because, we have a lot to work on still. Like in business, there's always plenty to work on if you want to grow. So good stuff, man. Tell me a little bit about, like, overall, if somebody was considering joining the program, like, what would you say to them?
I would say if you're serious about taking next steps, this is the best place to be. You're going to get 2 coaching calls a week. You're going to get a lifeline, which is Mike. He answers his calls, he answers his phone, he answers emails. He's going to walk you through first steps that you need to do for your first flip, and everything after that. To me, it's invaluable. You're not charging enough, Mike.
Well, you can say that now because you're already in.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Charge $1 million. Charge $1 million, dude. I don't care.
I guess the best endorsement I can give you is we're already talking about continuing on with you on the higher levels. So that's where we are. We believe in the program. We believe in keeping in connection with this mastermind group, not only at this level, but at the next level too. That's
awesome. Thank you for that. That's really good feedback. And we've loved having you in the group, and everyone has been amazing. So like I said, it's a great group for me too, not just everyone else. And we always have that stuff. So Scott, thank you for sharing. I know people are going to get a lot of value from this. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. I know you have to get to Home Depot. You're on your way. So thanks for carving out a couple minutes for me to jump on and just share some of the cool stuff you've been able to accomplish. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right. See you, man. Have a good day.